Bethan. I am the Education and Outreach Manager here at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. It is Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time. This is when we are doing our Facebook Live feeds here at the museum to bring the dome to your home. So today we are with our naturalist, Alicia. Say hi, Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
Yeah, that's my line.
We're too awesome.
So what are we doing today, Alicia?
Well, today we are going to feed some of our animals that we have here on the first floor. So if you look behind me, this thing that just has no patience. So this is Levi, our alligator snapping turtle.
Hi, Levi.
So Levi's pretty popular because, he likes to eat children's fingers. So today we are going to feed him. Unfortunately, I don't have any children's fingers. So he is going to get a rat.
Disclaimer, she is kidding about the children's fingers.
Of course not. But he probably could eat
Only the bad ones.
Only the bad ones. Only Ian sometimes too. But anyway,
so might grow back.
You're special like that. So he's obviously ready for us. So he is getting a rat. He also eats fish. He also eats large random chunks of meat.
Oh, he's ready. He's like, give me the food. Quit talking.
So I'm going to feed him and then I'll tell you guys some things about him.
Oh, he knows what time it is. Oh, yummy. Nom, nom, nom. How many of you woke up with a craving for a big fat rat this morning for breakfast?
I just got a tail sticking out. That's cute.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I'll slurp it like a noodle.
Yeah.
So as you guys can see, he is swallowing it whole. He's not chewing it up.
So if there are kids out there, I don't suggest eating like this at dinner. You'd probably get in trouble. He's not a good example for nice table manners. So what would Levi normally eat if he were out in the wild?
So in the wild, Levi is pretty much going to eat whatever he can get his hands on. So alligator snapping turtles are really cool because they can actually just sit at the bottom of a pond or a lake, open their mouths, and then they have this tongue that looks like a worm. So they just sit there with their mouths open and they wiggle it around, and fish actually will just swim into their mouths. So seems pretty lazy to me. It's pretty awesome though. But,
so it's like snapping turtle drive-through.
Yes. Pretty much.
I'd like a catfish.
But they also do hunt food sometimes. They've been known to eat ducks that are sitting on the top of ponds or lakes. Sometimes they'll just eat anything dead they can find.
So rodents would definitely be on the menu?
Yes.
Okay.
So he gets pretty much things he would find out in the wild because we also do just give him meat that people donate to us. So he pretty much has anything and everything he could want. Sometimes on occasion they will eat vegetables or plants, but usually they just like to eat meat.
Oh, and I forgot to do my spiel this morning. Gosh, I'm
it's Monday.
Slacking. It is Monday.
Here's a question.
Oh, I was going to say, be sure to send us your questions and share and like our page as well.
Elmer wants to know, how often does he get that sized rat?
So it depends on the time of year.
Elmer?
The Elmer
The
Fink.
Elmer.
Hi, Dr. Fink.
Hi, Dr. Fink.
Hi, Dr. Fink.
So,
thank you for watching.
During the winter, he will usually get that size of rat maybe once a week if he's wanting it twice a week. But during the winter, he doesn't eat a whole lot. He does still kind of pay attention to the weather outside. Sometimes he will go months without wanting to eat. Not that we don't offer it to him. But during the summer, he will get it about 3 times a week. Sometimes he will just get a bunch of small mice. Sometimes he'll get fish, a really big fish. Sometimes he'll get really small fish. On occasion, he does have live fish in this cage for him to eat himself. He tends to be really lazy about that, and it takes him a while to actually eat them.
I appreciate that.
Last time it took him about a year to finally eat one. So.
Why go do your own hunting when you know that you've got somebody to deliver the food to you?
I don't blame him. But do we have any more questions about Levi?
Yeah.
What do we
How
got?
old is he?
So Levi, we are not quite sure how old he is. We like to say he's somewhere between 70 and 100. So typically out in the wild, it's assumed that they can live anywhere from 70 to 120 years. But again, we're not really sure. There's no really way to test him to see how old he is. Maybe once he passes away, we'll be able to find out. But until then, We just like to say he's an old dude. And he weighs about 150 pounds, so they can weigh about 220 when they get full grown, so he's still a little bit small, but we do feed him a lot, so. We do take him out of this cage on occasion, so that's how we know how big he is, because we have our big, strong men that have to carry him out while I sit in the sidelines and laugh at them. So.
That answers the question of how big is he?
Yes, there you go.
Very good.
And now later today, he's gonna have a nice poop in here for me to clean up. It's my favorite part of the job. All right, any more questions about Levi? We good?
Where did Levi come from?
I think Levi came from another zoo.
Actually, interestingly enough, Levi was originally in Arkansas at a turtle farm, and that particular farm got busted for some illegal things they were doing, and so Levi was taken from there, and was at the Sternberg for a while. Then he went down to Pratt for Department of Wildlife Parks division for a while. Then he got too big for their tanks, and so he came up here again. So he's been up here now
10 years.
For 10 years. So he's been with us for quite a while, but he was actually taken as a part from an actual turtle farm as a confiscation.
Oof.
So was at that time, was he destined to be turtle soup? Is that what they were doing with them? I mean, what were they doing?
I'm not exactly
what
sure.
What do you do at a turtle farm? Anyways, they're not good. They're illegal.
They're illegal.
Don't farm turtles.
Nope. All right, so we have a question. I can't remember. Oh, are they native to Kansas? So alligator snapping turtles are not native to Kansas. There are people who believe that you can find them here, that they've kind of made their way up. But they often get confused with common snapping turtles. So if you've seen both of them, you will know that there is a big difference between them, aside from just how big this dude is. But they also have difference in their shells and as well as their neck. So it's kind of debatable whether or not you can find them in Kansas, because people who say they see them might not know if it's actually a common snapping turtle or alligator snapping turtle.
Well, you got to admit, alligator snapping turtle sounds way cooler than common snapping turtle. I mean, that's common.
I think that the latest, I know that they were in Kansas once upon a time.
Yeah.
And they used to be real, but then they basically were sort of wiped out of Kansas, and they've been working their way back. They're in Oklahoma, and they're right on the Kansas border, but they haven't made their way over the dams or whatever, from what I understand. I'm not sure that we actually have them in Kansas yet, but they're awfully close, and they will be hopefully soon.
He's hoping for dessert.
Yeah, he wants
He's really
more.
working it.
Somebody asked, can you pet him now? No. No, you cannot pet him.
Would not recommend.
He is, a sweetheart when you're looking at him this way. Yes, I did just hand feed him, and he was very gentle about it, but that's because I do it all the time. If we were to get in there and try to take him out, he is going to be very cranky about it. He's not going to try to bite you. Typically, he's just going to try to use his big body weight to get you away from him. And I think at one point he has charged people who try to get him out. He's a lot faster than he looks.
Yeah, that's the thing about snapping turtles, is when they want to move,
They can move.
They can move. It's a little bit surprising.
Yes, kind of scary. So yes. Any more questions about Levi?
There's a question about how long have we had him?
I think Reese said 10 years.
Yep.
10 years? There you go.
All right. Let's go feed something else.
What else are we going to feed?
Okay. So we are going to feed our alligator gar. We have our alligator snapping turtle and our alligator gar. So we can find our gar in here.
There he
right
is.
there.
He's over there in the corner. So this is Gary the gar. We've had him for about 8-9 years. So alligator gars are pretty awesome. He's kind of small.
He's kind of hard to see because he's
He
so
is.
well camouflaged.
He is very well camouflaged. So I'm going to feed him, and hopefully we'll get to see him snap this mouse pretty aggressively. He usually does. So alligator gars, they are known to be able to get to 6 feet to 10 feet long. Obviously he is not that long, and we're kind of happy about that because that would be kind of scary. So alligator gars are really cool because they have awesome teeth. They're nice and sharp. They look just like an alligator, so that's where their name comes from. So I'm going to throw him in a mouse, and hopefully he will see the mouse and not be distracted by the camera, because
He seems really.
he tends to get distracted pretty easily.
Yeah, there's the shiny thing looking at him.
Okay.
Maybe I can.
Oh, he got it. So as you see, he snapped it pretty hard. So gars, they're kind of the same as alligator snapping turtles. They're going to eat whatever they want and whatever they can catch. So they tend to be kind of ambush predators. So if there's something above them in the water or even at the top of the water, they like to swim underneath of them. So you kind of saw that he was underneath the mouse and then he just swooped his mouth up to get it. So that's kind of how he would do it out in the wild. They do eat fish, other gars if they wanted to, but they will also eat mice, rodents, anything that's on the surface. If they can eat it, they're going to try to eat it if it's small enough, if they're big enough. So again, he did not chew that up, even though he has all these very impressive teeth. He swallowed it whole, and I'm pretty sure he'd already swallowed it. Sometimes he'll spit it back out and give us a nice show that he's playing with his food. So, and if you can see in here, there's also a bunch of, you might not be able to see the little fish in here. I'm going to give them some fish food. They were originally put in here for Gary the gar to eat, but he actually enjoys their company instead, so now they are too big for him to eat. So he's kind of funny like that. So alligator gars, their fossils can be traced back to the Cretaceous period, so they've been around for a while. They are kind of thought of as a living fossil because they do have spiral valve intestines. And what's really awesome about them is that they can breathe air as well. So they can live in water that isn't very well oxygenated. And they can also survive like lots of water types. They can survive salty water or just completely fresh water. So they can pretty much do anything they want. Like eat us if they wanted to.
We have a question about how long is he?
He's probably maybe 2 feet. He is only about 9 years old at this point, and they got him, and I think he was only 9 inches long. At least that's what I've been told. I wasn't around when we got him. But he's growing. He's definitely gotten bigger in the 3 years that I've worked here, and he does look a lot smaller in the water, but he is probably about 2 feet long now.
And we just had a question of, is the Sternberg closed to the public right now?
Yes, we are closed to the public right now. Unfortunately, everything that's going on, we are closed, but lucky for me, we have lots of animals, so I still have a job.
So that's why we're doing these live feeds, is because we had to close to the public to keep ourselves and our visitors safe. There are only 4 of us allowed to really come in the museum at this point. And I argued that my job was important enough because we were doing these live feeds that I could come in. So we're trying to be very, very careful and participate in social distancing in this really weird time that we're living through.
All right, so we had a question asking if Gary is a fish or an amphibian. He is a fish. He kind of has organs that resemble sharks, kind of.
Garfish they've been around for a very, very
Yes.
long time. They have a very extensive natural history. So they're kind of, I almost look at it and see kind of an ancient fish.
Yes, I think they said that you can find fossils back into the Cretaceous period.
Yes.
Matter of fact, the scales of gars are really thick, and they are actually the most common fossil you can find in Cretaceous sediments because you find them in any sort of fluvial sediments.
There was a duckbill that they dug up at Museum of the Rockies in northern Montana that had a garfish in its gut.
Ooh, tasty.
So what they think happened was a duckbill died at the edge of a ancient floodplain of a river, and right after the dinosaur died, the river flooded, and there were garfish in that river, and apparently the dinosaur was irresistible to that garfish.
Tasty.
And it got up inside and then got stuck and became a fossil with the dinosaur. So
Poor thing.
garfish were doing what garfish do way back in the Cretaceous, which was at that point about 70 to 65 million years ago.
So somebody asked if it's a boy or a girl. I've been told it's a boy. How they know that, I'm not sure. But boy alligator gars tend to live for about 26 years, whereas females can live for about 50. So I guess we'll find out in a couple years. Couple years. Try like 10, 15. So. All right, do we have any more questions about Gary the gar?
Yep, looks like we're good.
All right. So who are we going to feed next?
So, just in this whole general area, we have a snake here. She is a black rat snake, or also known as a western rat snake. So if you can see her way back there in the back. Her name is Thea. So we named her Thea after the naturalist who used to work here. We like to say that they have the same temperament. So we are going to see if...
What temperament is that?
Just a delightful one that likes to bite.
Shiny, happy face in the morning.
Yes, and then cranky face by the time you leave. So we are going to see if she will eat for us because she is hungry. She is going to get a mouse. It is not alive. We do not feed our snakes live mice just because...
Unless they're rattlesnakes.
Unless they're rattlesnakes, yes. Because there's always a chance that if you give a mouse to a snake live, the mouse can actually hurt the snake, especially if they're in captivity and a little more lazy, I guess is the word. But our rattlesnakes are used to getting live, so they're used to having to kill their prey. So we are going to see if Thea eats. She tends to get camera shy. So we are going to try. The other guys I fed with my hands, I'm going to feed Thea with tongs because she bites.
Show the tongs.
Here's the tongs. She likes to bite. It doesn't hurt, but I don't need to bleed all over camera, so.
Little hungry? Little hungry.
Well, that was a quick response, Thea.
That was. So if you did watch the rattlesnake one, Curtis would have told you that snakes have to eat the mice head first. She kind of grabbed it from the side there, so she's going to have to make her way to the front. But of all the snakes I've ever fed, black rat snakes are the most impressive for being able to eat fast. I've had some swallow the mice butt first instead of head first, and they didn't seem to have a single problem with it. So, Thea has been here for about 4 years. She is a lot older than that. We caught her wild. So she is a little over 6 feet long, so we don't know how old she is. Black rat snakes or western rat snakes are pretty cool because they are climbing snakes. So if you see in this great big cage, she can climb all the way up all those sticks. She climbs up the wall. She does really impressive things. It's always great when people are looking for her and can't find her and she's on the wall staring at them. And then they usually get scared and I just love it. So she doesn't usually take very long to eat. As you can see, she's moving her jaws really awesome. She was probably really hungry. So Curtis took his rattlesnake out of the cage to clean it. Obviously, he had to do that to protect himself and people who are cleaning the cages. We do not have to do that with our snakes, but I always make sure our snakes eat first before I clean their cages, because if I clean their cages and then try to feed them, they tend to be upset and then they don't want to eat, so then I have to come back and
Sometimes
try
fingers
them.
look like pinky mice too.
Oh, especially for those little snakes that just love the pinky mice. They look exactly like fingers. So I have been bit by her. It does not hurt. She has really tiny teeth, but it does tend to make you bleed a little bit. So we also named her Thea because Thea is pretty much the only one that she won't bite. They have a special bond.
Is Thea a boy or a girl?
We do not know. I make her a girl. I kind of just pick genders for my snakes without knowing for sure.
That would be awfully funny if we named it Thea and it turns out to be a boy.
That's okay. Do we have any other questions about Thea?
Well, I guess I have a question.
Yes.
What would be the difference between like a rattlesnake and then like a snake? If that makes sense. Like teeth-wise.
Teeth-wise? Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously rattlesnakes have fangs that they inject their prey with their venom. So these guys do not have fangs. They just have tiny little teeth that honestly you can't really even see. Even though she's opening her mouth right now, you can't really see her teeth. She's not really using them for any purpose other than sometimes holding on to prey. They catch really well. But she's not using her teeth like rattlesnakes do at all. Black rat snakes do vibrate their tail. And if they're out in the wild and there's leaves or rocks or branches next to them, they do sound just like a rattlesnake. So they have that going for them. They are mimicking rattlesnakes, so people tend to like to stay away from them. But a lot of snakes can actually do that. And if you don't know what snake it is, it's better just to stay away from it. And that's why they're good at vibrating their tails. Thea is particularly good at it. And, oh, you still have a little tail hanging out there. Oh. So right now she's saying, you did not just feed me a mouse, I want another one. But you can see that lump in her belly. Oh, and you can see her still wanting.
I think that's the most active I've ever seen her.
Well, she likes to climb up this wall a lot, but with us being closed, she's like, you guys are sleeping, I'm sleeping. Huh.
Please, more.
Yes, please more. All right. Do we have any other questions?
I think this goes back maybe to the alligator snapper.
Okay.
Do we have ducks?
Do we have ducks to feed him?
This says, do we have ducks?
We do not. We have stuffed ducks. If anybody wanted to donate a duck, I would feed him ducks. The only thing we buy to feed him is mice and rats. When he gets anything else like deer or fish or anything like that, people donate those to us because obviously they'd be really expensive to go out and buy. And then people who go out and fish, they catch too many fish, and we like to use those fish. So, but I've never fed him a duck. I have fed him a deer heart before, but that's about as wild as I've gone. All right, let's just look at Thea a little bit more. I'm gonna go get my knife.
Where are we going to go next?
We are going to go to our sliders.
Our sliders.
See how many things are.
Oh, the question is, no, do we have live ducks that we could pet?
We do
Oh,
not.
we do not have pet live ducks, sorry.
I grew up with ducks, so I wouldn't mind that. But we do not have them.
As long as they're not geese. Geese are scary.
These are slightly evil. So yeah.
My mom raised geese and I'm scarred by it.
Yeah, I'm more scarred by the chickens. All right, so we got some more turtles in here. So these are our red-eared sliders. We do have a couple here. If you tuned in last week, you met Ladybug, our albino red-eared slider. You're gonna fall and it's gonna hurt. There you go. They're not graceful, people. They really aren't. They know I have food. So this one right here that's freaking out is Squirtle. So she is a female. So if you remember last time we said that females are bigger than males. So she is definitely bigger than Donatello here. So a lot of people come and they say, oh, mommy and baby. No, she is brother and sister. So they were hatched at the same time 12 years ago in Hastings, Nebraska, which is funny because that's actually where I'm from. So when I found that out, I'm like, oh, they're meant to be my pets. So Donatello here is the little brother, and Squirtle picks on him to no end. She will use him as a step stool and hold him under the water. She will try to steal his food all the time. So these turtles are the kind that are always hungry. So they see somebody, they think they're getting food. So we are going to feed them. They get pinky mice when they're getting meat. Sometimes they'll get giant mealworms, but they also get fruit and vegetables at least once a week. So they really love strawberries and carrots, but they definitely prefer the mice. And it's gone. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, you got my tongs. Excuse me. Here you go. I'm gonna keep her away from stealing his. She's nice like that.
Someone asked if they are poisonous.
That was Thea. Asked if Thea was poisonous.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Thea.
So Thea is not poisonous, nor is she venomous. So for those who don't know the difference between venom and poison, so venom, like in rattlesnakes, is injected. So they have the teeth and they bite you, and that is venom. Poison, like we have our poison dart frogs up on 3rd floor here, that is ingested. So let's say your dog eats a toad, and then they start foaming at the mouth and spit it out because it's gross. They ingested a toad that is poisonous. So she is neither. That's why it doesn't matter if I get bit by her. I still don't enjoy it, but...
Candy says that her parents have these kinds of turtles, and their names are Jekyll and Hyde.
Those are good names.
Yes, I had an old employee name these guys. Obviously, he wasn't very creative with the Squirtle and Donatello, so... But we like them, and they were donated to us, so I'm sure they had names before, but I don't know them.
Then she asked the question, what kind of turtles do you have? And I assume that means these plus all the other kinds that we might have in the museum.
We have 4 red-eared sliders, 2 of him right here on display, 2 of them not on display. So that's Ladybug and Scooter, who live upstairs. We have obviously our alligator snapping turtle Levi. We have a common snapping turtle named Jeffrey, and we have a northern snake-necked turtle that we just got. She is actually our animal of the month. Her name is Phyllis. She is 12 years old. She's awesome. Hopefully we will get to see her eventually because she has a really long neck. And then we have our tortoises, Darius and Pebbles. So turtles rule the museum here.
What about box turtles?
Oh yes, how can I forget about Crush? We have Crush, our box turtle. He is on display in the discovery room, so he's a little more chill. He doesn't get played with as often.
See, what do you have there?
I have mealworms that I just dropped on the floor. Good for me.
Oh, they were juicy.
Yeah, they did.
Ew.
All right, so if you guys have any more questions about these turtles, if not, we are actually going to make our way up to the second floor, so you're going to have to bear with us walking up the stairs. If you have any questions that we can answer during that time, feel free to let us know. If not, we're going to walk up the stairs.
Let's go up the stairs. It's weird in here without people.
I think it's awesome.
Whatever.
Now you have parties all the time.
Yeah, you sit by yourself in that room all the time with those animals.
Well, you know,
I swear this place is haunted.
what in the world?
No.
Keep losing my food.
Exploding worms. That's gross. We'll go into the
Salamanders. Yep.
Oh, we have a question. What is the difference between turtles and tortoises?
So, the difference between turtles and tortoises, we're actually a buyer of tortoises, so we can go check them out really quick. Oh, they are messy. You can check out their mess. Wow. So, you see Darius and Pebbles over here. They are tortoises. So, if you see their shells tend to be more round and a little bit more robust. So, tortoises tend not to be water animals. They can swim, kind of. They mainly float, but all the other turtles that we've seen today are semi-aquatic or fully aquatic in kind of Levi's case. These guys tend to hang out more on land. And these guys are from Africa, so they do look a bit different. They tend to be a little bit brighter. They are able to hide. But besides that, if you see in our box turtle, he does have a round shell. He's not a very good swimmer either, so it gets kind of confusing because lots of people think he is a tortoise as well. And then they will put him in the water and they don't swim very well. But besides that, tortoises just tend to hang out on land more. And yeah, I rarely see turtles out of the water except for hanging out on rocks or branches. They eat in the water. These guys do not eat in the water. These guys don't need nearly as much water as turtles do. Turtles can dry out and get skin issues. These guys only get water about once a week and then a bath about once a week.
Why are turtles always getting run over on the road?
They are crossing the road to get to more places. And, you know, people tend to go for them. So if you see a turtle, don't try to hit it on the road. We like them. They eat stuff.
We have a question of why are the tortoises on the hard floor?
So it's pretty simple. If we gave them sand, our museum would be filled with sand dust. So they do have hay in here that they've spread everywhere. But if they were on dirt as well, we wouldn't be able to clean up the floors. They would pee in it, it would absorb, and it would be smelly.
Yeah.
They do get to go outside during the summer a couple times a week. They do dig a lot. So that is why they are on hard floors. Any more questions?
Alright, where are we heading now?
Salamanders. I thought said tortoises. Yeah, it's a Monday.
I don't even know what day it is anymore, really.
Alright, I see one. I do not see our other one.
The other one's back over here.
Where?
Under a rock.
Under a rock?
Right here.
So he's hiding well. Alright, so these are our tiger salamanders. So they are an amphibian.
Our state.
Our state amphibian. So you can see one right here. These guys do not have names simply because I've just never named them. So salamanders are kind of like turtles. They are always hungry. They will always take food if I have to offer it. Today they are going to get giant mealworms. So sometimes they'll get just regular mealworms, sometimes they'll get crickets, sometimes they get baby mice. So when I give them giant mealworms, I do cut the heads off of them because giant mealworms can actually bite.
You cut the heads off of the salamanders?
Yes, I do, off the salad. Oh, can't you tell he has no head? So as you can tell, he is ready for some food. I'm gonna maybe freeze grabs that light or something. Don't want to break any glass while I'm here. All right, he's ready.
There you go.
Got light? Oh, I'm so short. Oh, that's my finger. And just like that, it's gone. Oh, and we see the other one. No, don't bite tails.
Bite.
That's not your food.
They do eat each other's tails a lot. They're kind of silly like that. Okay, can you get out of the grass? Maybe so Rachel can see and people can see? No? You want to be in the grass? Oh, he has his.
And it's gone.
And there you go. All right. So they do not have names. If anybody wants to give suggestions, I'm happy to listen.
Yeah, send in your suggestions.
But as you can see, you can easily tell the difference between them. This one has his spots. He's got nice roundish spots, whereas this one has lines. So you can tell the difference between them. I used to call them
Linus.
There you go. I used to call them Sugar and Spice because we did have another one. And so this one was always Spice because he likes to bite me. The other one was Sugar because he was just a big old sweetheart, but unfortunately she passed away. Or he passed away. They are males. So they do bite me, but they have so tiny teeth that you cannot feel a thing. We do feed these guys at birthday parties for kids, so whenever they bite me at a party, I like to scream and pretend like it hurts. The kids never buy it. They're too smart. The parents sometimes buy it. Slider or Tiger?
Tiger.
I like Tiger.
Salamander.
It's pretty easy. Pretty easy to remember, I think.
And is there a particular type of tiger salamander they are?
They are a Western tiger salamander. Are they not? Are they North? They're Western, aren't they?
Barred?
Oh.
Bar. Oh.
Someone says, great camera work, Rachel.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I try.
Will you please name one Gerald?
Gerald.
Yes.
Okay. If we need to, we can name one Gerald. Let's just start calling them by different names every day, okay? Works for me. And as you can see, they still want food. They're never not hungry. Tiger. All right, do we have any more questions about these guys? Oh, be nice.
We get more suggestions.
We
We
get
have
more?
Tiger and Echo.
Echo. See, I don't know if I
These
can...
ideas up for a vote on
Yeah.
the page.
I have so many things that need named. Okay, you guys need to be nice. Okay, let's put their lid back on. Not that they're gonna jump out.
What would happen if you put a smaller tiger salamander in there?
This one right here would eat them. We have found that out. When we got this one right here, it actually still had its gills. It was still very long like this, but it still had its gills. So we were hoping that it would stay pediomorphic. He did not, but he got to be pretty cute, so we're okay with it. But yes, if we put a small one in here, he eats them, and he wouldn't even notice that he got any fatter.
So what does pedomorphic mean?
So
That's a
pediomorph.
big word.
So it means that they keep their juvenile traits. So if you guys know what an amphibian is, when they are...
Wait, that's a good question. Dr. Finkus really wants to quiz you.
No,
What is
Dr.
the difference
Fink.
between an amphibian and a reptile?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fink. So
You thought you were done being a student.
I know.
It never ends.
He would never let me forget it. All right, so amphibians and reptiles. So obviously our snake was our reptile. So amphibians, like frogs and toads, calm down. When they are born, they have a different body shape completely. So as you know, they're called tadpoles and frogs and toads and stuff like that. And these guys have gills. And they don't have legs at first, and neither do frogs. So they have to completely grow up and metamorphose. So pediomorphic means that they are keeping their juvenile traits. They will keep their gills. They might grow legs, but they keep their gills. This usually happens when they are in a bunch of water that they can't get out of. So when this guy was found, he was found in a stock tank. So obviously he had no way to get out of the water, so he kept his gills. But once he got here, he had a landmass he could crawl out of, so he morphed and lost his gills and became really super cute. So I'm okay with it. But reptiles, a baby reptile looks like an adult reptile, just smaller. So they have scales. Sometimes they have legs and stuff. So obviously snakes don't. But they have lungs and they breathe air. These guys have cutaneous respiration. So as you can see, their skin is very smooth, oftentimes described as slimy, whereas snakes are not slimy. People think they are slimy. They are not. So they can breathe through their skin. They do not have scales. They just have really smooth skin. And you can also rip it if you're not careful. If you have really dry hands or something in your hands that is rough, you can rip their skin and hurt them. So that's why whenever I mess with these guys, my hands are wet and clean. Obviously, toads tend to have a little bit rougher skin because they don't hang out around water as much as frogs do or as much as these guys do. But there are some salamanders out there that, like sirens, that will just keep their gills their entire life, even if they could get out on land. They just keep their gills.
Jeez.
And if you've ever heard of an axolotl, they keep their gills too.
What about their eggs?
Their eggs, what about them?
How are they different from reptile eggs?
Well, they tend to be laid in clusters in the water or near the water. We do have some animals, like poison dart frogs, that will lay them on leaves that are super wet because they're in the forest. And then when they hatch, they just kind of fall into the water. So our poison dart frogs do that upstairs. Whereas reptiles, we don't have any up here. What am I pointing at? They lay bigger eggs that are more of what you'd think of. They're still soft, but they don't need to be wet. And some reptiles even have live birth. It's not the same as humans or mammals, but they have eggs that hatch inside their body, and then snakes typically will come out alive. It's different from mammals though, because mammals are feeding their young inside and we're keeping them safe, whereas reptiles aren't.
I noticed that you put a lid on them, so does that mean they can jump out?
They cannot jump out. They can hop at you and food, but they cannot jump out. The lid is on here mainly so people don't stick their hands in. And they also have a light source. So the light source isn't providing any heat. It's just kind of providing UVB and UVA light. But yes, people like to stick their hands in stuff.
Well, speaking of sticking their hands in, can you pet it?
You could, but you're not going to, because again, they do have cutaneous respiration. So if I had something gross on my hands and I touched their skin, I could actually make them sick. It's a little bit different for toads. Obviously, they're not as, you can't fit there. They're not as absorbent with stuff on your hands, but we do take them out on occasion to take them to programs. He's like, I'm going here.
So determined.
Do we have any other questions? Okay.
Not seeing any other questions for the
All
moment.
right, well, if there are no questions, then we will sign off for the morning. And we'll be back this afternoon at 2 p.m. Central. And I think we're going to be down in zoological collections with Curtis this afternoon. My memory is not so good right now. So
I think it was like talking about birds.
I might be talking about birds or maybe a bat.
Well, maybe you can see some
Something with a bee. So anyways, until then, please continue to share our live casts with those who may not have caught it live. And like our page and let everybody know that we're doing these. And we'll see you this afternoon at 2. Bye-bye.